Yo, what's going on guys? Today I'm going to be talking about the styrac, which I consider to be the best 2-slot in the game. In this video, I'm going to try my best to explain the styrac's strength and weaknesses, and also how to use the styrac. Let's start with the styrac's playstyle. It's a hit and run dino. Never really want to be face tanking anything as a styrac because of your long cooldown on your headbutt. If you're playing with a team as a styrac, you want to bait and switch a lot. The styrac has great turn radius, so you want to play around your enemies and feint them out and maybe get their back. It's great to use your charge whenever you need to catch up on someone or make distance. Now, just because you shouldn't face tank stuff, you can still pretty much face tank every single 2-slot in the game. Another great thing about the styrac is that its hit, its base hit and its charge both do bleed, meaning that if you hit people enough, you could sit it out and let them bleed out. Now, when you're playing the styrac, you do want to play near your teammates, as you do get the stampede buff, which gives you 2.5% damage each stack. The only problem with stampede, it only stacks up to 4 instead of 5, whereas you can have 5 styracs in the group. The great thing about the styrac's bleed is that it stops Metries and Lambios heal calls, meaning if someone is bleeding, they cannot heal through that call. Another good thing about that is that their combat timer doesn't go down and yours does. That way you could heal a little bit of health in between fights, and they can't. Now let's talk about the weakness of the styrac, and it's pretty much its only weakness is its stamina. The styrac also isn't the fastest of the 2-slots, but it still has decent speed. But a lot of people, when they see styracs, tend to go left and right, which gets them killed because you end up cutting up on distance. And that's perfect if you're playing with a teammate. So if you ever see yourself 1v1 in a styrac as a different 2-slot, your best bet is to outrun the styrac. Try to stay in a straight line. Unless they charge you, you can do a 180 and the charge will completely miss you, and then just keep going straight. So another thing about the styrac is it doesn't have a kick, which is not the biggest deal because you do have great turn radius. But if you do decide to fight a styrac, try to tail ride it, as that is also your best bet. Now let's talk about if you're playing the styrac, what you want to do. First of all, you don't want anyone to get on your back or tail ride you. Now let's talk about the stamina. You always have to be watching your stam bar and do not overcommit. And rest when you can. Let's talk about the styrac's attacks, which are the normal headbutt, the charge, and the block. Now both headbutt and charge do bleed damage, but charge uses stamina to use, and so does block. Now the main problem with block is it's very situational. So your main 2 attacks will be charge and hit. Now both charge and hit can be comboed, so if you charge someone, you can hit them right after. The longer you charge, the more damage you do. Now let's talk about the subspecies of the styrac, which ones I think are the best. So let's talk about thrill damage, which I personally think is the most useless one. Thrill damage is the one where if you get bit on the head, it does passive damage to them. So you get 2 times thrill damage. Now let's talk about the second one, which is plus 3 attack damage, which does make a difference. You'd be surprised how much of a difference it makes. I've tested this. It's only a difference of a couple of hits, which could be all the difference. But here's the thing, you're the strongest 2-slot anyway, so you probably don't need it. And anything that you could kill before, you can still kill. So, yep. Now the last one, which I think could honestly be the best of all of them, which is the plus 10 stamina recovery. As I said, the styrac's only weakness is its stamina. So if you could get another 10% stamina recovery, it could change you from getting away and dying. This video I am using the frill damage, which I do have to change. The styrac could use a TLC because you really only have a couple of moves. You don't really have a choice in what you use. So there's not really any specific builds or anything. The only thing I would say is do not use strong legs overcharged. And I like to use the normal herbivore diet because you have slower food and water drain than if you were to use forager. Which for anyone that doesn't know, the more food and water you have, the faster you regain HP. Now in this clip you can see that I am fighting a Rex. And this is the second time the Rex came back. You can see the first time we killed him and his DASP. Second time they came over, killed his DASP, and now we're fighting this Rex again. You can see there was this random adolescent Rex helping us out, which we didn't know, he just decided to fight the Rex. Now because of your great turning radius, you can be in and out and do slight manoeuvres to get behind people's tails, which is actually very great for teamwork. As you can see, we're baiting, switching, very good here. He puts himself in the water, which is just a classic Apex move. But the great thing is that he has a bunch of bleed stacked on him, so while he's not healing, we are able to get our health back. And I could see that there was another Rex coming, so I just decided that I didn't want to risk the other Rex coming out and helping him, which that's what it looks like was going to happen. Now, just because you are a 2-slot doesn't mean you want to be running the whole time. The styrac is very good at running away and then turning right back around to punish you for it. Honestly great to get a couple of hits in, get that bleed stacked on them, so if they do decide to chase you, they are losing a lot of health at the same time. You can also be very aggressive as a styrac as long as you watch your stamina and you know what you're doing. Now let's talk about a couple combos you could use as a styrac. My favourite one would have to be 4 styracs and a couple of struffies, because struffies have a bunch of calls that give you a bunch of buffs, so you kind of could pick what you want to use. All of these combos are within slot limit. So you could run 3 styracs, a Lambio for the heals, and then you could run a Struffy again just for the calls. Or you could pair it up with the Albert, because the Albert also has Stampede, which gives you 2.5% damage per stack, and it stacks up to 4 times. The only problem is the Albert is a 3-slot. You can also use the Eel Trick, Albert and styrac combo, all tricks, which I'm pretty sure the Eel has some abilities that could build into that. You're fighting a styrac, you really do not want to overcommit because they are really good at punishing you for that. What this DASP really should have done was stayed in one spot, not moved a lot, because the more you move, the more bleed you get. You should have really been using his precise turn. Back to the styrac Albert Eel combo, you could use Frilled Bond, which increases damage by 7.5% and armor by 7.5% to yourself and any Ceratopians in your group within 50 meters. And this does stack up to 4 times, so you would have that stack up to 3, which is really good. That would give you an increase of 22.5% damage and armor. Now if you do want to run the 4 styracs and 2 struffies combos, which is 10 slots combined together, you could use the attack calls. So one of them does increase armor by 10% for all group members within 15 meters for 25 seconds. Or tantrum increases attack damage by 10 seconds for all group members within 15 meters for 25 seconds. And swift tempo decreases ability cooldowns by 25% for all group members within 15 meters for 15 seconds, which honestly is really good. Not only that, if you are a styrac and you get something low, the struffies have the speed to catch anything, so it closes that void of the styrac's stamina and its ability not to catch small things such as the conch, pycno, stuff like that. So there's many combos you can run, whether it's EO, lamb or struffy. The thing I want to talk about is a lot of players are just scared to take fights that are uneven or very hard to win, which I think the best way you can get good at the game is just take these hard fights, uneven fights. I want to talk about some bad matchups for the styrac that you should watch out for. Anything that is defensively sound or has a great turn radius is honestly the harder things to fight as a styrac, because then it's a lot harder to use your great turn radius. For example, things like the stego or the amarga, because of their very defensive playstyle where they play behind their tail, which does plenty of damage. And the great thing about styrac is it's great at tail riding, so you do have to hit them on their sides and stuff. But the thing about all dinos that rely on their tail, they always have one weakness, and that is usually their front. They either don't have a front attack, or their front attack just doesn't do very much damage. What I want to talk about the fight is we did kill that eel that we were fighting earlier. We started fighting as bars. We didn't know who's on whose team. We aren't grouped with any of these people. We just go around, fight people and see what comes of it. Now, even though you are a 2 slot, you absolutely destroy a lot of the 3 slots. For example, Metri, pycno, Akillo, all of these things get absolutely destroyed by the styrac. Only thing that actually does put up a good fight, for example, is like aloes and alberts, because they're a lot stronger than most. Now if you are playing a Neo and you decide to put yourself up against the wall against a Lambio, you better hope he doesn't have shove or he doesn't run a knockback build, because as you're about to see, Lamb goes to heal up and you'll just see what happens next. Another thing is, if you have full health and the Lambio just uses call, you may as well just go in, get some damage in. Doesn't matter, because that call lasts 2 minutes, so get your damage in, get back out, heal back up. Another thing that puts up a great fight is the Miraguaya, and that is because of its paralysis and the poison that it puts on you. So not only you're slower and you have less stamina regeneration. Super as well puts up a pretty good fight just because of the raw damage, and its speed is actually pretty good. That the EO is dead. Here we decide to fight on Amarga. You do have to be very wary of its stomp, because it's got plenty of damage and a big radius. So in this whole entire video you would only really see me use the block one time, and that is right here where I thought I couldn't get out in time, so I decided to use the block, as it makes you take a lot less damage than you normally would. The styrac is short, so you could play around the water and use it to your advantage, just like the Samarga's doing right now. then for this ending clip, we were helping our friend Quest, and this random Makillo started killing him, so we pulled up.